video we're going to look at other ways we can view our data within Excel or view worksheets. To do that, I'm going to move away from the Home tab and come across to the View tab. And within this section we have a number of interesting options. Let's say first of all that I am working with this sheet here, the one I've called Inserting Rows, and I want to be able to simultaneously see data from sheet 4 and renaming sheet at the same time. Now at the moment my only way to achieve that is to skip between them. Have a look in this sheet, come back to this sheet, go back to that sheet, perhaps copy paste my data and view my information that way. Another way to achieve this is to use the New Window command within the View tab. When I click New Window, you will see that my Inserting Rows title here will change from Inserting Rows to Inserting Rows 1 and 2. So I'm now within Inserting Rows 2. What Inserting Rows 2 is effectively just a mirror copy of my original workbook. Now, when I say it is a mirror, it is effectively just a new window to view the same workbook. It is like looking at the same workbook from two different windows. So the information that I add to one window, Inserting Rows in version 2, if I add information here and find my other version, Inserting Rows 1, that information has also been added. It is one workbook. You have two entry points to that workbook. Now that feature in itself is not particularly useful, but then we might decide to arrange the workbook panes that we are working with. First of all, I'm going to clear out any other workbooks that I'm not using at the moment, so that all that we have is Inserting Rows 2 and 1. I'm now going to use the Arrange All feature. Arrange All will take all of the Excel windows that you have open and arrange them either tiled, horizontal, vertical or cascade. You can experiment yourself as to what effects these different buttons create, but the most common that I use is the vertical option. Let's click vertical and click OK. What Excel has now done is it's taken my two workbooks, even though it is actually the same workbook, but the two images of that workbook, and has placed them side by side. This now allows me to go into the one worksheet, change the sheet that I'm looking at, which is the renaming sheet now, and I can simultaneously on the other workbook view my sheet 4. So now, rather than skipping between sheets in the same window at the same time, I can view information from both areas. And this allows me to very quickly, for example, copy and paste information, or as we'll see later on in further chapters, using formulas I can quickly create links between these two sheets. When you're done using your new window that you've created, you can simply close one of them. Don't fear, remember this is just a window pane to look at the same sheet. You won't be losing any data, there's only one workbook. When I close this sheet and resize my original window pane, all of my data will still be there, but we simply have only one view of the one workbook. Now this functionality of arranging windows can also be useful if you have a different workbook. Let's have a look at how that would happen. So I'm going to create a new book, and this one is called Book 5. Similarly, coming back to my View tab and using Arrange All, again I'm going to leave it on vertical, and we'll now see on the one page my Inserting Rows workbook, on the other page my Book 5. And again, I might want to copy certain parts of the information on this sheet onto my other worksheet. When I'm done with this view, I can simply expand the workbook that I'm interested in to resume full screen mode. And these are the most useful features within Excel for viewing more than one workbook or viewing different sheets of the same workbook. The feature that I most commonly use though when I want to work quickly switching between different windows of the same workbook is to use the AltTab shortcut. In fact, this shortcut is not only available in Excel, and in fact will allow you to switch between multiple applications if you have multiple applications loaded on Windows. But in this situation, the most recently activated windows were 2 Excel files. So if I use the Alt-Tab command, I will switch from one window to the other. Let's just expand that one so I have a full view. And so using Alt-Tab, I very quickly can switch between those windows. If I will now want to copy this data, I select it, Control-C, move to my other workbook, Control-V. And this is a summary of some of the different ways you can work with multiple workbooks in Excel.